The next file type we deal with in our camera is called RAW files, and it's known as raw capture and called the digital negative. And it's called the digital negative because it is comparing it to analog film photography, where you would actually produce negatives and create prints out of them. Here, it's a lossless file. It's uncompressed. It's containing all of the data from your camera's capture without any in-camera processing, not like JPEGs, where JPEGs have in-camera processing. Here, it's just collecting all of that data for you. And then once you have created that photograph and have stored it on your computer, your cloud, whatever, the information is just there for you to manipulate as much as you want without losing any image quality. It introduces a new workflow because raw files are so big and not every platform can open a raw file. So you can't put them up on social media. It's really hard to send through email. If you just wanted to open up the raw file itself just to look at the image, more times than not, it won't show you an image because it's specific for an image data converter or software that is designed to work with raw files. Here we have a non-destructive editing workflow. Now, when it says it does not deliver processed finished images, when you look at your raw file, it will not have a lot of contrast. The exposure isn't going to 100% match what your vision was when capturing the image. And that's the whole point. It's not supposed to be a finished product. It is supposed to be information for you to work with to design the edit of your photograph the way that you want it to be. The nice thing about raw files is, even though this is what we're working with and a lot of our platforms can't support raw files, you can export them into different file types. So that way you can have your image in the appropriate file format for you to do whatever you want with. So posting on social media or creating physical prints out of it. Therefore, the advantage is maximum control over converting your image into these different file formats. The disadvantage is it's a larger file size, so fewer files are allowed on your memory card. And then it does need extra time for you to edit and convert the files. And people don't like spending extra time on a lot of things, but this is worth spending the extra time on because, again, you are designing the aesthetic that you had envisioned for the photograph. You have complete control over it. So even though it's more time, the reward is much greater than working with a lossy file like JPEGs. Raw file extensions. Every make of cameras, every manufacturers have different file extensions. So this is a list of the most common ones you would see. Canon is .cr2. This is what you will see with the school cameras, and the screenshot next to it shows what the file name would look like. It is always going to be a series of numbers and then .cr2. We have Nikon. Nikon is the second most used camera. Some of you have personal Nikon cameras that you are working with, and so that file extension is .nef. And again, a screenshot there just to show what the numbering and lettering looks like. Sony is becoming a lot more popular, so it's .arw. And then we have the last one, which is a digital negative .dng. Digital negatives, we can create those when we work within Adobe programs. We're not dealing with those within the cameras ourselves. So here's just a graphic to show you how we can set either RAW file formats or JPEG file format within our camera. With the RAW one, we create the photograph and nothing happens to it within the camera. We take that RAW file, put it on our computer, we open it up in our Adobe software. We develop it, meaning playing around with the exposure, contrast, all of that aesthetic design we want. You can retouch it, which we'll talk about what retouching means. And then you can export it to a JPEG, a TIFF, which we're going to talk about in a second, or a variety of other file formats. When we set our file format to a JPEG in our camera, when we shoot it, the camera is automatically going to do its own minor developments as far as exposure, contrast, all of that nature, even saturation of colors when we get into that. It will compress it to create that JPEG file. So that way it's a smaller file. And then when we bring it into our Adobe software, we can retouch it. So adjust exposure, contrast, all of that jazz. And then it gets compressed again. We have multiple steps in which we can lose information with JPEGs.